Imagine the sound of a heavy, solid piece of metal hitting a marble countertop. It is a distinct, deep clink that immediately commands the attention of everyone in the room. This is the sound of the legendary American Express Centurion card. For decades, this black piece of anodized titanium has been the ultimate gatekeeper of status, available only by invitation to those spending hundreds of thousands of dollars annually. But what if you could have that same physical presence, that same weight in your hand, without the invitation or the massive spending requirements? Welcome to the world of the American Express Black Centurion card replica. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on a growing industry that promises to upgrade your plastic reality into a metal fantasy. We are going to explore the technical patents behind these conversions, the psychological drivers that make people spend hundreds of dollars on a physical shell, and whether this is a masterstroke of personal branding or just a desperate attempt at rich-larping. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how these replicas are made, the hidden risks to your financial security, and if the clink is truly worth the cost. In the current market, the metal card has become the standard for premium banking. Not long ago, having a metal card was a rare privilege. Today, almost every major issuer offers one. We see the Chase Sapphire Reserve at 13 grams, the Apple Card at 15 grams, and the Amex Platinum at 17 grams. Even mid-tier cards like the Capital One Venture X or the Built MasterCard have adopted the metal form factor to make the user feel like they are part of an elite club. This has created a weight war in the pockets of consumers. However, as metal cards become common, the truly affluent look for something even more exclusive. At the moment of recording this video, the real Amex Centurion remains the peak of this pyramid, but its unavailability has birthed a secondary market of custom engravers and chip swap services. These companies position themselves as luxury artisans who can take a standard plastic card and upgrade its physical form factor to match the aesthetic of a black card. They are not banks. They do not issue credit. They are physical modifiers who capitalize on the fact that most bank-issued cards are, as the sources describe them, boring and unimpressive to look at for the average consumer. Let's get into the deep technical analysis of how this actually happens, because the process is far more complex than just putting a sticker on your card. To understand this, we have to look at the EMV Chip Swap procedure. This is a workshop-level process that involves transferring the secure technology from your bank-issued plastic card into a precision-cut metal body. According to patent documents, the process often starts with a heat source, like a heat gun, set between 350 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. This heat is applied to the front or back of your plastic card for anywhere from 10 to 60 seconds to loosen the adhesive holding the EMV chip in place. Once the chip is loosened, technicians use specialized tools like picks or tweezers to pry it off, but it doesn't stop there. For the chip to sit flush in a new metal card, the four sides of the chip are often bent towards the downward bottom face, sometimes becoming perpendicular to the face itself. Finally, an adhesive coating, often a cyanoacrylate like ethyl-2, cyanoacrylate, or an epoxy, is applied to the bottom of the chip before it is pressed into a custom machined holding cavity in the metal card. Now consider the costs and the scenario A versus scenario B of this investment. The average cost for a high-quality metal conversion at the day of the date is approximately $150. In scenario A, you send in a card that you plan to keep for several years. You get back a beautiful 17-gram stainless steel card that feels identical to a Centurion. It becomes a conversation starter, and for the cost of one nice dinner, you enjoy every transaction for the next 5 years. However, consider scenario B. You spend that $150 to upgrade a card that your bank decides to replace 2 months later because of a security breach or a simple expiration. Your bank issues you a new card number and a new chip, rendering your expensive metal shell completely useless. You are now out the money and back to carrying plastic. Furthermore, these replicas often lack the sophisticated microprint and multi-layer backgrounds of the original. Merchants who are trained to spot fakes look for things like skewed or unevenly spaced numbers, which are common when forgers use aftermarket embossing machines. They also check the signature strip. On a real card, the material is different from the surrounding plastic, whereas replicas often use a uniform material that feels off to an experienced touch. This brings us to the user experience and the what they don't tell you section of this journey. The most common complaint among users who have gone through with a metal conversion is the immediate loss of functionality. Specifically, your new fancy metal card will almost certainly no longer work with NFC or Tap to Pay. While some services claim to offer Tap to Pay metal cards, the physical properties of metal often interfere with the antenna, leading to a frustrating experience at the checkout counter. There is also the significant privacy risk. To get a high-quality chip swap, you aren't just giving a company your card number. You are often sending them your entire physical card, including the security code and your full legal name. While many of these companies have been around for years without reports of fraud, you are essentially handing the keys to your financial house to a third party. At this point, it is important to pause for a moment of clarity. The content we are discussing today is strictly for educational and informative purposes. It does not constitute personalized financial advice. Every individual must carefully analyze their own financial situation, risk tolerance, and the terms of their cardholder agreement before making decisions regarding their credit cards or using third-party modification services. Your relationship is with your bank, and they have the right to reissue or cancel your card at any time based on their own security guidelines. Continuing with the user experience, there is a psychological toll to carrying a replica. The sources describe a phenomenon of cognitive dissonance, where buyers rationalize the purchase of a fake to resolve the conflict between wanting status and not wanting to pay for it. People tell themselves it looks just like the real thing, or luxury brands are overpriced anyway. But in practice, using a replica can lead to nervous behavior at checkout. If a merchant suspects the card is a fake, they may look for signs like a demagnetized strip. Counterfeiters often modify these to force a manual entry of the card details or a dull 2D-looking hologram instead of a true holographic image. There is also the BMW logo on a Civic effect. If you are pulling a heavy metal black card out of your wallet to pay for a fast food meal while your overall lifestyle doesn't match the card's prestige, people aren't usually fooled. They might just think it looks desperate. Despite these drawbacks, there is a master strategy for those who still want to hack this system. If you are determined to have a metal card, the smartest way to do it is to not try and mimic a trademarked design. Reputable conversion services like metal-creditcard.com actually refuse to make exact replicas of trademarked cards to avoid legal issues. Instead, the master move is to design a unique, custom metal card that reflects your own branding or artwork. This moves you from the territory of faking it into the territory of bespoke personalization. If you choose a matte black finish and your own logo, you get the clink and the weight without the baggage of carrying a counterfeit. Another strategy is to wait until your card is newly issued and has several years before expiration to maximize the cost per use of the conversion fee. Also, always keep your original plastic card's information stored in a mobile wallet like Apple Pay or Google Pay. Since the metal card will likely fail at tap-to-pay terminals, using your phone for contactless payments while keeping the metal card for the show of chip insertion is the most functional way to navigate the modern world. So, what is the final verdict? Is the American Express Black Centurion replica a smart financial move or a vanity trap? From a purely financial perspective, it is a poor investment. You are paying over $100 for a product that has no intrinsic value, reduces the functionality of your card, and could be rendered useless by your bank tomorrow. It is a physical manifestation of FOMO, the fear of missing out on a status symbol that, frankly, most people don't even care about as much as we think they do. However, if you view it as a hobby or a piece of functional art that makes your daily life a little more enjoyable, the math changes. If you understand the risks, accept the loss of NFC, and choose a custom design over a trademarked replica, it can be a fun way to spice up a depressing financial routine. But remember, a real Centurion card isn't powerful because it's metal. It's powerful because of the spending power and the concierge service behind it. A replica gives you the weight, but none of the wings. If you found this deep dive into the world of shadow luxury helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps the algorithm know that we are providing real value here at Finanzas con Timmy. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Would you ever risk sending your credit card to a third party just to get that metal clink? Or do you think the whole metal card trend is just overblown hype? Let's get the conversation started down below.